Hey everyone! Today's hair idea is something that I made up over this summer. It came about after watching reruns of Vikings and films like Troy and the 300, so I guess that it's a mashup of various hairstyles from characters in both genres. I started the style by distributing some light hairspray all the way through, and then made a relatively deep side part. With that in place, I separated a portion of hair on the smaller side of this line and clipped it out of the way. My second section came in the form of a U-shape or horseshoe at the top of my head, and this extended from the temple on the heavier side all the way around the crown to right behind the side I'd already secured. That too gets temporarily tied up, and this is so I can make my final two panels of hair. The one in the center is slightly denser than the one at the bottom, and of course these are also separated with style clips. This look is built in tiers, so here I've released my half horseshoe and I'm starting at my left temple. And all this is a waterfall braid. The first few stitches, the ones along my forehead, are a simple French lace braid with the hair being brought into the strand nearest my face. This is where and how the braid initially begins, but as I came to the round of my head, the pattern changed. It's still a lace braid, but the bottom strand, the one I'd been utilizing for additional hair, now gets separated out. Obviously this isn't super professional, but I found it easiest to use my mouth to hold it away. Hey, you've got to use what you have, right? Anyway, like most waterfall braids, you've got to replace that piece to the braid before moving on, and so I'm using the loose hair from my U-shape to do this. The pattern becomes top strand over the middle, bottom over the middle. The bottom strand is dropped, a new one is gathered from the loose hair, and then it's back to the top strand over the middle. I really hope that this makes sense. As always, I'll leave my braid dictionary link in the description should you need a more in-depth explanation. In total, I was able to drop 7 strands before braiding the ends. For now, I've lifted and clipped them up, and this is so I can fold and pin the tail underneath them. My hair isn't super long, but I did have to weave it back and forth twice. Going forward, the center panel at the back of the head is released, as are the strands from the waterfall. This next braid is almost the same, but with just a few minor variations. I'm still starting on the left side by splitting hair into 3 and folding them over one another, but this begins as a French braid with hair being pulled into both sides. That only changes as you near the first drop strand. Once that point is reached, those strands are what's brought into the top half of the second braid, and like before, the bottom is separated out. The loose hair in the middle panel becomes the place from which I'll draw in all new strands as this new waterfall braid is formed. The pattern here becomes add a drop strand from the first braid into the top of the second braid, and then fold that over the middle. Then fold the lower side over the middle, drop the new bottom strand, and use your loose hair to make another one. Just like before, this design extends across the length of this horizontal panel. For me personally, the only difference is that it takes a little longer than the first braid, and that's just because I needed to stop and check in the mirror more often. And just with the first braid, I managed to drop 7 strands. Having now finished the more complicated half of the style, I was ready to move forward by texturizing that final and lower panel of hair with my micro crimper. Obviously, this isn't a necessary step, but I thought that the added volume might look nice in this area and/or just a little bit fuller. After that, I went ahead and used the last section to make 2 ordinary 3-strand braids, which I twisted and pinned into a bun. When I felt it was tight against my head, I layered the tail from my second waterfall braid right above it. And before I let down my second set of drop strands, I also crimped the vertical section along the smaller side of my parting. To make the pinning a little easier on myself, I decided to ponytail the loose strands, that way I wouldn't have to use tons of pins to get it off my neck later. The first one contained 4 strands and the second had the remaining 3. I then braided the hair below each elastic, and just as I thought, it was a lot easier to tuck up into the updo when I was finished. The last step involved drawing all the hair from the right side of my head backwards and into a twist, which I pinned right through the center of the braidwork. I remember thinking while filming this that it looked like some sort of hair sash, tying the whole thing together. I then wrapped the end of that roll around the very bottom of the updo, and that was it. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching my video today. If you like what I do or enjoyed this hair idea, then give this video a thumbs up or subscribe to my channel. Until next time, have fun and keep braiding. Bye!